Well, we come to day 31 of our journey through the Bible, and we start a new week. We're going to notice that there are times in the Old Testament, as there are in the New Testament, but where similar events, occurrences happen, but they are reported in separate sections of the Bible. And in the life of the people of Israel, some of what we'll study this week is recorded in Exodus, but there's also an account in it, a parallel account in the book of Deuteronomy. And this is helpful. It gives us a fuller picture of all that is happening. In the section we come to today, we're going to see some of those powerful teachings you'll find anywhere in the Old Testament. And I really, if you could possibly make the time to read Exodus 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, it would be a great blessing. It tells the story of how Israel is delivered from the Egyptians by the opening of the sea and how they cross over on dry land, but how the chariots and the great might of Egypt's army is destroyed and drowned. We're told, by the way, in chapter 14, verse 19, that the one who is involved in that is the angel of the Lord who's leading and defending. You remember from our earlier studies who that angel of the Lord is, I hope. Regardlessly, this mighty miracle, this great act, you would think would forever change the attitude of the Israelites. It would help them get their eyes off their circumstances and learn to put it on this great God who could do things like this, but it really doesn't work. They immediately begin to criticize and complain against Moses. One of the life things, if you haven't learned it yet, you will figure out if you pay attention. People who live a life constantly negative, constantly criticizing, constantly complaining, people are people who are always looking at their circumstances. Until you learn by faith to look to the Lord and find your hope in Him and your confidence in Him, only then can you live above that. But when you do truly to trust Him, it changes how you respond and the very attitude of your life. These foolish, stupid Israelites, a God who could do what He did for them, and then they think that He's got them out in that wilderness so they'll just die, that He couldn't take care of them. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Well, Exodus 15 talks about their praise for Him for a time. It says, the horse and its rider He is hurled in the sea. The words that the Lord gives us come through Miriam, the prophetess. But then by the time you get to 16, they're no longer singing praises. They're playing their game of complaining against God, against Moses. The Lord is patient with them, though. He provides them for them. He gives them quail to eat and manna to eat. At Rephidim, we have a picture of how He provides water for them. And as He does it, He is teaching them. There's a rock, and Moses uses that rod, that staff that is now the rod of God, and he hits that rock, and out of it comes water. He's showing us another picture of the coming Christ, of the coming Savior. You can't read that story, and if you know the New Testament, not hear the words of Jesus in John 7:37, if anyone is thirsty, let him come to me and drink. Well, in Exodus 18, we find a very helpful passage that talks about how Moses needs to organize all these millions of people out here in this wilderness. Well, what he sets up is a plan that breaks large groups down into small groups and designates leaders who provide care and teaching and direction for the people. Every church, if it's of any size, has to do the same thing. Small groups become critical to the real health of the life of that church. And so it's important for you to be a part of a small group in whatever church you're in and to help it become vital and life-giving. Also, for those who serve as pastors, we're certainly never going to be Moses's, but there are some things here about his task that probably every pastor ought to consider. He is to be the people's representative before God, and he's to teach the people the decrees and laws, showing the way to live and the duties they are to perform. You'll also note in the notes that I have below this video some items about slavery in the Bible. I think that will be helpful. And I would simply mention that tomorrow we'll begin looking, as we will at several occasions, at the layout of the tabernacle, this important place of worship full of truth for our lives. Let me read today from Exodus chapter 15, these words of praise. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? This is Exodus 15:11. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in glorious deeds, doing wonders? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. You have led in your steadfast love the people whom you have redeemed. You have guided them by your strength to your holy abode. And then verse 15:26. If you will diligently listen to the voice of the Lord your God and do that which is right in His eyes, and give ear to His commandments and keep all of His statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you that I put on the Egyptians, for I am the Lord, your healer.